Hello and welcome to Patched. I'm your host Paul James, and I'm again joined by Jay Parnas.
Again.
It
never ends.
We told you that we were going to do a digital-only kind of Skyped-in episode that was going to discuss the Nintendo Spotlight, and we totally did that. But then disaster struck and basically lost all the audio. So here we are in person doing a normal sort of conversation, basically in the exact same vein that we did the remainder of the E3 one. So I guess if nothing else, we're consistent.
Yeah. We've now consistently lost footage.
Yeah.
Well, actually, consistently lost audio. The footage is the only thing we kept on that other one.
Yeah, exactly. So at least it's all working in this regard. So we're going to kick things off. We're talking about Nintendo.
We're talking about the Nintendo
Spotlight and a couple of little bits that came afterwards. We have already had this chat. We're going to pretend it didn't happen. And
we had this chat on the day and then recorded it later, like a week later. Yeah. And then
lost it, and we're doing it again for you. So we'll kick things off, and look, we can kind of talk about some of our general impressions first, because there was just this little sizzle reel at the beginning. But what was your overall pulse from the Nintendo Direct?
Oh, at the end of it, I was a little disappointed, and the reason I was disappointed was primarily because the dream came true, and we got the new Metroid announcement, and it was a fucking new Prime game, and I cracked the shits. Other than, that was pretty much my main takeaway from it for, the entire... That was, around the midpoints over the second half, other than Mario, because that shit was just, you couldn't not keep a smile on your face during that. But for the rest of it, I was just like, fuck it. And then, some business happened, and my mood improved, shall we say.
Oh yeah, the stuff that came afterwards.
Yeah. But anyway, it didn't it looks like they've got a lot happening regularly, but they don't have
basically a profile game every month.
But other than Mario, they don't have a huge amount of serious blockbusters. They've got some cool, unique shit that is first party or third party that's only for them.
Splatoon will still shift a few million units,
just
like the first one did. But
for sure, and
especially in Japan.
And ARMS has just come out now. I mean, at time of
and it's
of E3, it wasn't out yet.
It's doing fairly well critically and commercially. Not setting the world on fire, but it's kind of what you expect from a new IP, a fighting game from Nintendo.
From Switch numbers,
basically. And on a console that's very new. Man, this little intro is taking a lot longer than I remember it taking.
No, I remember it being quite lengthy, and
but I mean, what they're kind of showing off at the beginning there, and you're already seeing it. But they're rattling off some of the things that are coming, the things that aren't going to get the time that would, at E3.
That was actually the thing that bothered me as well. That they went to the well on Rocket League twice.
Yeah, that was an announcement in the thing, and then they intro.
It was part of the sizzle reel, and then
sizzle reel at the beginning. What? But, we see things like Splatoon 2, and we see ARMS, and we see Pokken Tournament.
FIFA
DX
was there.
FIFA,
I think that was the first little announcement they had about FIFA being on the console.
Yeah, they did come out kind of over the following days when we did the Treehouse, but that was our first. Oh yeah, it's FIFA 18, not just FIFA for Switch.
Yeah,
and it is still a scaled back, pared back version of the game, but
which, considering, I mean, the issue that a lot of the last few Nintendo consoles have had has been support from those third parties. That's a good sign.
Yeah,
because that's one of the big ones. That's one of the that, and you whatever shooter you feel like picking that comes out every year. You want you want your racing game, your soccer game, not even your sports game. I mean, your soccer game, Europe is no one's going to play Madden on a Switch. No one's going to play. Fewer people will play basketball on a Switch than people that would play soccer on a Switch.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think that's the one to go for.
But then we kicked into, I don't know.
Reggie had a bit of a chat, and then
Reggie spoke to us, and then we launched into what is Xenoblade Chronicles 2, a game that was debuted to us back in January during the Nintendo
Switch event. Yeah.
That one.
I was sad to not see that guy, actually. I thought that dude was a champ.
I think because they were pretty well hammered for the presentational aspect of that.
Were they?
Yeah.
That's a shame. I liked it.
So, as a result, I think they just tried to sever any and all ties to that one, right down to the click.
I don't know. I thought it was fun.
What are your thoughts on what you've seen in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 anyway?
It looks like an impenetrable JRPG.
Yeah, JRPG's never been Jay's thing.
I mean, I've played a whole bunch. I lose interest. Just And then like I'll come back to it and I'll be like, I have no idea. I don't know what stuff in my inventory I need to keep, what stuff I can sell, where I'm at in the story. So maybe I'll just start again, and then the cycle begins anew, and I get bored, and then.
And there's some of the usual tropes, so disproportionately large breasts, lots of
No, I'm on board with those. No, that's fine.
Unnecessarily situated pieces of armour.
Oh, look.
Exposed legs that just would instantly see you killed when a giant beast comes along and has its way with you.
Yeah, look. Ladies'
But
armour.
at the same time, Xenoblade Chronicles is awesome. And I'm really looking forward to everything about the game based on what I've seen in this trailer.
Looks anime as fuck.
Yeah, I mean, what's impressed me though is that they've managed, like Xenoblade Chronicles X, which was a Wii U game, and they went for a far more realistic.
Was that the
exact
Shulk?
same engine?
Was that the Shulk?
No, that's the original one. That's the original Xenoblade.
Okay.
This is running on the exact same engine that. Well, you'd almost. I mean, there's fantasy sort of monsters in it, but what I'm going to dub comparatively being a hyper realistic sort of visual look that they were going for. This is running on the exact same engine, and it's why they've firstly managed to get the game around as quickly as they have. But I am impressed that a totally different visual style
is possible within
the exact same engine.
For sure,
says a little bit to some
studios
there
the world
claim that they can't do things differently.
The world looks pretty realistic, though. Like, I mean, it's really only the characters, I guess, and that's that is what it is. But like, it looks nice, it looks interesting, but I know for a fact there's probably going to be some sort of ridiculous grinding involved to get to any of these locations from one to the next, and I just can't. I can't. But it's cool nonetheless.
They've announced little bits and pieces for it. So there's day and night cycles, and certain parts of the world will be inaccessible depending on the weather. So if it's heavy with rain, then this whole area suddenly, like this
David Cage
previously accessible area has just been totally filled in with water, and you can't get across.
Sorry, you said heavy rain. So.
Oh yeah. We'll talk. No, go back and check out our episode. Sorry, all about.
Bamboozled you.
What's the game? Detroit.
Switch.
Let's move on though. Kirby is coming to the Switch. Tell us all about your Kirby love, and then what you think about this new, currently titled Kirby game.
Look, man. They could make Kirby Superstar. And just like variations of that with different stories and mini games and all sorts of shit forever, and that is the only Kirby game I ever need. I'm not kidding. Kirby does not, like, as a character and as a premise and as a gameplay mechanic, Kirby does not fit a full 6 to 10 hour to 12 hour game, because it's not fun. Like, I mean, it's fun, but it's not.
But where's that? It's welcome.
Yeah, it's just the same. It's like you've got different areas, but there's nothing new, because it is what it is.
So what's your take on the fact that in this one we're seeing like hints of an overworld and?
I mean, I don't know if it's.
There was a little overworld hub that we saw a moment ago.
Kirby 1 had that.
But that's not what we've seen in some more recent ones. So.
Yeah, we've seen. Yeah, they do it all the time. They did it in. Kirby's Yarn.
Epic Yarn.
Epic Yarn.
I didn't end up playing that, man.
They've gone back to the well on that. But for me, I just feel like Kirby in little mini stories, and just lots of them, and then like the fighting aspect of it, which Kirby kind of is. I mean, like a huge amount of Smash Brothers is literally just Kirby.
Yeah, it's ripped out. Well, I mean,
it's HAL Labs, so it's the same. Yeah, but I mean, the entire concept of arcade mode in the original Smash Brothers is literally Arena from Kirby Superstar on the SNES. Like, it's 1-to-1. There is even a boss that is a giant master hand. I'm not even kidding. I shit you not.
Good.
Like, these are all things from, and that's the thing for me. That's Kirby. That's what Kirby should be. Look, it was cool because it looked like it had maybe some mix and match stuff, which they fucked around with on Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards.
Yep.
So that was cool and interesting.
Actually, Crystal Shards was one I played a little bit of.
Yeah. But we're
jumping into our next bit. So we had someone talk to us about just a range of different experiences and types of games and ways to play. But then, more importantly, we jumped onto this, which is representative of the Pokemon Company. And there's a quick discussion about
check out my fountain pen.
Pokken DX for Switch, which The original was fairly well received. I think it is present at Evo. I think. I'm fairly sure it is.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the same representation that your Injustices.
I think that was one of the
fighters and those sorts of things.
I think that was one of the fan vote. There was a fan vote for it. I think it was either that or Marvel vs. Capcom 3. I think.
Oh yeah, okay.
Maybe. I don't know.
So they tease a few more Pokemon that are coming to the game, which was already kind of previously announced anyway. Mm-hmm. And then they get into the bit that most people have kind of been, well, how long have people been asking for a core Pokemon game on a console for?
What year was Red released?
That long. 25 years, 20 years. What was the anniversary you celebrated last year? 20 years.
So
yeah,
then
last year was the 20-year anniversary.
At least 18 years?
Yeah, basically since we settled down from Pokemon Red and Blue.
And
then got to experience Red and Blue by putting it into a Game Boy player on the Super Nintendo. All of a sudden,
I also think the concept of what they did for Gold and Silver was probably the other thing where it's like, hey, cool, we got this game world, and by the way, Kanto's in there as well.
Yeah,
like I feel like that's when you were starting to see, oh, okay, this is obviously the logical thing that they're going to do is just,
because you can just
put all the regions,
blow the doors wide open on, like it just lets you at anything and everything, and maybe you keep the Pokemon from each region exclusive to that region. It wouldn't matter because you can travel to all of them.
Yeah, maybe you have to leave your Pokemon and start a new, like get a new starter every time you move to a different. Maybe you've got like a rotating team based on where you'd have, and then once you've beaten all the different regions, you would then just be able to have your like national dex team or whatever. Yeah, fuck you.
We'll talk more about this one later, but Metroid Prime 4 has been announced. Tiny little tease, no details.
It was an image.
Yeah,
check out my hot JPEG.
It's a game. It was designed to get hype or elicit hype from those who are really looking forward to a new Metroid or Metroid Prime game. For the most part, it seems like it's had its desired effect, but there's no substance to it. So look forward to that in about the same time that we see Kojima's new game.
Yeah, right.
Also,
it's come out that it's not being developed by Retro, so
no, it's not Retro.
There's that too.
Next up is Yoshi, the third
Yoshi's
new game
Stationary Mix, I think it's called.
Yeah. And that's, let's be honest, that's what it's going to be.
I think Yoshi just got himself like locked in an office works one night and just
built a world out of it.
Yeah, several, like all of his games.
I like the depth that they're adding in this new. Again, a bit like Kirby, it doesn't have a formal title yet. It just is called Yoshi. I like the depth they're adding. You can replay the same level from playing from the opposite side of the.
I like them using real world objects with not real game characters. I feel like it's
a Pikmin approach, that one.
That, and also like what it actually made me think of, not Pikmin, because I rarely think of Pikmin first when it comes to anything in life, but it actually made me think of Paper Mario Sticker Star.
Yeah.
Now I know those obviously weren't loved, but the contrast of having like a realistic like big fan or something, all those paper characters, like this sort of stuff. It like the cardboard and the tin cans and all that sort of stuff in contrast to Yoshi's character, I think is really like it lands that thing well.
It looks a bit like they're going for that woolly sort of aesthetic again for Yoshi himself. Apparently, it's not.
Actually made me think of Captain Toad as well.
Yeah,
like at least at first.
We could do with another Captain Toad game. I love that.
I actually think that's probably like the Captain Toad aspect is probably that's where Yoshi could live. He could live there too.
Yeah.
The whole
bring back Captain Toad into that. It's 2018's E3 announcement alongside Pikmin, Animal Crossing, and all that shit. That was
pretty popular. Captain Toad actually did alright,
and it was received real well. It was a simple little puzzle game that had a hell of a lot of depth.
But yeah, just the whole sort of the rotating mechanic and the whole little puzzle thing of like, oh, what's actually happening behind the scenes. I think it definitely reminded me of Captain Toad. So look, if there's some of that in there, that could be pretty cool too.
I mean, now, you thought that we'd get through, without Damo here, that we'd get through an episode of Patched or anything without talking about Fire Emblem.
You'd be wrong.
But you'd be wrong, because we're here to talk about Fire Emblem Warriors.
Let's talk about the new dead horse
it's being flogged into the ground. Rousseau games, which have been flogged into the ground previously by Dynasty Warriors anyway. But just like when Zelda got the Hyrule Warriors treatment, we're getting the same thing with Fire Emblem Warriors. That's still apparently on track for this year. They don't have a formal release date yet. I think they're just saying American Fall at this point. But it looks to be more of what you just expect from those sort of games. Slice and dice and hack your way through hundreds, thousands.
I think they're doing some new stuff with the overworld, I heard as well.
Oh, really?
Where you can like flick between characters across the battlefield.
Okay, that's a cool little change.
Yeah.
It's only subtle. And ultimately the gameplay itself will remain the same, but it's a cool little idea.
Yeah.
Next up, we're talking Zelda. And after getting...
Skyrim.
Yeah, well, so how it creeps into... So Zelda creeps into Skyrim. We're seeing Link in his blue tunic, and he's got the Master Sword and the Hylian Shield. And,
weird braids.
it's a real strange look, but Skyrim is coming to Switch. It's coming this year, so let's inject some Zelda in there because we're Nintendo.
Speaking about the flagellation of, like, dead equine.
Yeah, good point. And then, like, they're getting pretty gimmicky with it, but eventually they cross over to what we're seeing in DLC for Breath of the Wild.
Yeah.
What was your take on what you saw there?
It was good that they actually decided to be transparent and say what the fuck this is going to be.
It's taken them a few months.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like, it looks like it might just be a challenge mode where you literally start from scratch, kind of like the real game, but it'll just drop you in it and force you to, I guess, handle business from start
certainly
to finish.
this first portion of DLC anyway.
Yes.
We'll talk more about the
first
second
half
piece when it starts to appear on the screen. But
I don't really know what the map stuff is. Like, it looked like it just had drawing. So I don't know. With the map, can you draw on the map, or can you just place the little stickers?
No, you can only place little stickers. But
Okay.
I actually wouldn't have that much of a clue simply because I've not even done the first.
So I think based on what it is, I think you now can draw on the map. Maybe.
Yeah, possibly.
That might be what
that'd
it is.
That'd be cool.
And there's some new armor and stuff like that.
Yeah, the usual sort of things that kind of get thrown in there. But yeah, I'd agree. It kind of looks very challenge modey, and that's okay.
Oh, for sure.
A little bit more to kind of fill in time, a bit more content in a game that's already bursting at the seams. The master mode seemed kind of cool. There's that one little bit where you've got the Moblin standing in the middle of the ocean. There's 3 balloons holding him up, and he throws the axe, and he all just topples in. Just more evidence of how smart Nintendo was with the design of this particular game.
Yeah, and look, I feel like there's a lot that they can do now that they've made that. Like, they could, if they wanted to make additional DLC, they could just throw extra areas down. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, the thing that people enjoyed was just the traversal. That was the story of that game. Was just I'm just casually making my way through it, and I think that they could eventually make a world that's just so
this massive thing that's just interconnected.
So it's just so big that who knows.
This probably only needs to be the only Zelda game ever for Switch, and they could just add things to it versus put it. They won't, because they'll try and bleed as much money as they can out of us.
No, I feel like
they could just add stuff.
Nintendo's also a company that likes to one-up themselves, similar to how Rockstar does.
Yeah.
I feel like they'll probably use the engine for it, and they'll probably just go again, I reckon. Because I bet that part of the difficulty with making this game would have been the physics engine and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
That
and now they've got
never
it
really
done.
had in any of their first-party games.
Mario Super Floaty, whatever, didn't matter.
Yeah.
Been the same idea. And the second piece of DLC is the Champion's Ballad, which basically we know nothing about. Story DLC.
Yeah.
That contains each of the 4... champions. You got one of each of the different races.
And
there.
Zelda, I think,
and
also.
Zelda looks, kind of seems to take a prominent place in it. We don't see Link in that at all outside
Maybe she's
of
playable. That'd be pretty cool.
So the first slice of Zelda DLC is coming in June. Basically this week, actually, as you're seeing it. And then the Champions Ballad one doesn't come out till an undefined period at the end of this year. They did announce 4 amiibo for the game as well, which feature each of the 4 champions. So more and more Zelda amiibo coming.
Man, Gerudo skirts. They don't work.
No.
They are barely clothes.
Yeah. It's just a rag that's doled over the cross. And
doled over the... Yeah.
Yeah, sorry.
Well done.
And next, and we'll kind of talk about a few other different bits and pieces with this, but Reggie comes to talk to us basically just about a few different
Much like a sarong, Reggie in his beach gear.
Yeah. For some reason, Reggie on a beach, clearly green screened in, but talking about the different events that were actually on at E3, which are now been and gone, so don't worry too much about this, but you could play Splatoon 2 on the show floor. You could do the same for Pokken Tournament, and for ARMS there were tournaments for those that people had opportunities to play
invitationals.
and win the invitationals. Yeah, so Like I was pretty happy with that premise that they were getting people in though, allowing people to compete. They've done some cool things.
They had to because this E3 was. There were people there. There was 15,000 of them or something like that.
Yeah, but they've even done that sort of cool thing the last few years. Remember a couple of years ago when they did
Mario Maker?
Mario Maker there.
Yeah, that was very cool. That
was awesome.
But I think that was probably the best marketing tool they could have used for that game because no one really knew what that game was at that point. And there was a lot of questions, and I think seeing that stuff was really good for people to be able to like, oh, this game is actually batshit crazy. I can really go nuts with this, and that's great. And then and from there, I think it kind of
because you got people who aren't scripted; they're just fooling around and seeing what they can do with it. And turns out you could do anything with it. And I'm still disappointed that we've not seen a Switch version of the game, but perhaps we're just getting a Mario Maker 2. That might be two
would be great. I would prefer them to do 2 than a deluxe. I don't know how translatable their engine is, but man, like if they could bring in Doki Doki Panic into that as well, like Super Mario Bros. 2.
Yeah.
That is a different weirder thing that maybe they might not be able to do. But
why don't they bring some Rabbids in there?
Because
for the first time I'm actually somewhat interested in what Rabbids are doing. Thanks to Nintendo
this game's,
and Ubisoft, which we've spoken about already.
Pretty crazy.
We have spoken about this already in our Ubisoft conversation.
Yes, we did.
But they just kind of a little tone piece more than anything else. If you want to see proper gameplay in depth, then you might want to cross over and take a look at the Ubisoft press conference there. But at the same time, it's kind of a cool little tone piece for the sorts of humour they're trying to inject in there, the basics of the gameplay, and look, I changed my tone real quick. During the E3 conference, and
pretty much the world. Like it was actually pretty crazy to see the world just
simultaneously change its opinion.
Yeah, because everyone was just like, this is the dumbest shit ever. This is going to be Mario and Rabbids at the Olympics, except not at the Olympics. And
possibly even worse.
Yeah, and then because Rabbids are more annoying than Sonic, ever so slightly.
Yeah.
And then that dropped, and then people were just like, oh shit, it's fucking XCOM, except it's not, but it is.
And people also said, oh shit, for Rocket League that's now coming to the Switch. There's a massive audience for Rocket League.
There is.
And it just gives them another platform to do it. And what is real cool is that Nintendo is playing ball with Xbox and other platforms. You can
even more so. Nintendo's playing ball with actually, because they're also playing ball with the Minecraft stuff
as well.
Whereas PlayStation's not.
Yeah, PlayStation are the ones that are being quite stubborn. I mean, I guess in some respects they can probably say, well, we don't need to. We're on top, but just let everyone play together. They've made some arguments as to why. I don't know that I totally buy them. I'm talking about PlayStation.
The safety stuff?
Yeah.
No, that's...
I don't buy it.
That's like insulting, if nothing else, because that assumes
we can't Xbox and Nintendo people are irresponsible and
but not just that. Like
those
the
sorts
fact
of people are on every platform.
The fact that stuff would be able to get through into a game and that they wouldn't have some sort of control over... Yeah, that's crazy.
And closing out the main portion of the show
is The Legend of Zelda 3DS.
Yeah.
Meets Jurassic Park.
Yeah. We're here to talk about Super Mario Odyssey, where we're introduced to a giant dinosaur. I think did you cotton onto the fact that it was Mario immediately, or did it take you a little while as well? Like, did you need to see the little hat pop up on top of the dinosaur, or had you already... Because this just seemed so out of left field. I had no idea what was going on.
I was looking at the time...
I figured it was about time.
Yeah. Also the...
Mario in a sombrero and poncho is awesome.
The difference between like the design of the level versus the design of the dinosaur, I was like, this is going to be something off the wall. I didn't take it as a serious thing.
Oh yeah, I mean it's Nintendo, so the thing is it could be bloody anything these days, as Mario itself is proving. What are your general thoughts on what we've been seeing from Mario Odyssey over the course of... E3 this year?
So
we're going to lose our video because it's lost connection.
This was pretty crazy because it was for the first time it showed what the capture concept was.
And what do you think about that? Because there's a very simple premise attached to it.
Fucking crazy.
If it doesn't have a hat, you can throw yours cappy, your little white hat that kind of consumes...
capture.
To capture that enemy or object, you can throw it at taxis and take
literally just possess it
and possess it and use it in whatever way you see fit, which is cool.
Yeah, it was really crazy. Like a lot of the stuff that they were showing, where like you capture a bullet bill and then fly around and fly over just giant chasms and then jump out of it and capturing Hammer Brothers and cool stuff like that.
Totally.
Which is weird because they have a helmet as part of their character design, but
it's not a hat.
yeah, no,
it's really like there's some grey area there. Some of the things that I thought were cool is there was this little totem-like dude that when you consume
the like Easter Island head-looking thing.
Yeah, and then you pop his sunglasses on, and instantly you can see a path. Now that little guy can't jump, but it now tells you, hey, there's a path that Mario or a
penitent man shall pass.
Traverse, that you can walk across that space. So you just jump back out of him and you just run straight across and jump onto the platform.
Yeah.
Cool little things like that they're introducing that make it enticing to capture one.
There was also that like weird
to see what they can do.
There was that weird like statue lion thing that you would be able to ride on.
Yeah.
That I don't know how that sort of plays into everything. So maybe there are rideable enemies, or not enemies, but like almost like Donkey Kong Country style, where there's like a something that you can do, because there's scooters as well that you can ride as well. So who knows, like that sort of stuff.
There's no fall damage, interestingly enough. I've heard from some of the guys at IGN who basically got in New Donk City to the very highest point and jumped off. Nothing.
Yeah, no, I've seen that. Look, I actually got more from the Treehouse stuff they did after.
Yeah,
because they really went into a lot of depth with that.
Yeah.
They didn't pull any
punches. A lot of
punches.
different perspectives.
They did, and they showed a lot of what it could do in terms of what. It was interesting to see a lot of people be more confused by that, being like, "Well, hang on, but what do I do?" Like, it looks like it's also going down that Zelda route of here's this open environment. Find what you need to find. Do what you got to do. There's a story here, but just go exist in these worlds, which is kind of cool and interesting. I mean, it looks like there are definitely more specific tasks to do, and like doing those tasks will get you, the moons or whatever they are. But then there are also story stuff that you need to do.
Also, like the fact that, I mean, for all that they're saying, and this harkens back to Sunshine and Mario 64, unlike those, you collect a moon and you can just keep going. You don't, it's not...
Yeah, it doesn't boot you at the level.
Which
Banjo-Kazooie style.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a thing that people have been saying since the 64 days of Mario 64, when Banjo could just grab a Jiggy and stay in the level and grab another one, or as many as he likes up until they're all gone. So yeah.
Yeah, actually, look, good point. There's one more thing that I'm going to throw on for us. It's not a Switch game; it's a 3DS game.
Oh,
is
it the one?
Prompt your Metroid.
Is it the one? Oh, it's the one.
Mercury Steam, the developers of Castlevania: Lords of Shadow.
As in the console ones or the handheld one?
They did all three. They did
right.
1, 2, and then Mirrors of Fate or whatever it was.
Yeah, right.
I don't think you'll have to worry about them in this case because they're remaking Metroid 2.
Yep. When this came on, and I only came across it by happenstance, that I was watching the live Nintendo feed, and then I went to watch a different feed, which was like I'd paused their live feed so I can go back and watch their reactions to what was coming up, because I was just curious, because I knew that I was pissed about the whole Metroid Prime thing, and I probably wasn't taking everything
in perhaps as thoroughly.
So I went back and saw that, and they happened to be watching some of the Mario stuff, and so I eventually got further than where I was, and they sort of were killing their stream, and so I checked on the Nintendo stream. Like another 20 minutes had passed, and this was happening. This is happening, and I had no idea what the hell was going on, and so I scrubbed back, and sure enough,
it's a remake of, another Metroid 2 remake.
Yeah, it's another remake of Metroid 2, which, I mean, it tells you an interesting story. Like, obviously, this has been in development for a long time. Excuse me. Obviously, it's been in development for a while, so it makes you wonder how quickly and voraciously they killed off that fan game that has been out there for 10 years.
Yeah.
Or 12 years, or whatever it was. It makes you wonder if, because this has been in development and the release is almost next month, it's August.
September.
Is it August? September?
Yeah, mid-September.
Either way, it's in the next quarter. It just makes you wonder if maybe they killed that off so hard because they had this coming, and they didn't.
Nintendo's kind of
They do have a reputation about that stuff. But they killed it off after release. After there was people talking about, hey, this is really fucking good. Maybe it might be a circumstance that, well, that's going for a thing that's what we've already done. We're going for this new thing. We like the counter and stuff like that. Maybe there was a bit of a concern that people will just be like, well, this fan made it better than you. What the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, so kill it off and get it out of the way.
That's
Look,
right.
it makes sense. So where does,
it hit the
where does that
internet
leave you
once-
now with your overall... So you're obviously happy with Samus Returns.
I am. It looked nice. The gameplay that they showed, which was quite a bit, it's got something.
What do you think of the general future of Metroid?
Excuse me once again.
Given that we have Samus Returns coming.
Note to self,
remake.
turn phone on silent.
Yeah. And then, of course, Metroid Prime 4 somewhere in the distance. What's your stance on kind of the future of Metroid, given those two games are both on the way? One being quite soon.
It's interesting because if the 2D one is really popular and Metroid Prime tanks, that might tell you a little something about what they need to do with the franchise. On the flip side, if the 2D one tanks and the 3D, like the first person one, does really well, then that's probably the end of the Metroid franchise as I know and love it.
I think that one might be the more likely scenario, to be honest. Just because it's coming to... Prime's coming a new platform. 3DS is one that there's lots of people who are now going, okay, I've got my Switch. There's lots of people who don't have their Switch.
I don't think commercially will be the problem. I don't think commercially...
Oh, you're talking just about the critical reception.
Correct. Because if that game launches and is a piece of shit, then it is what it is.
Do we actually know the studio doing it for you? We just know that it's just a new
I don't think we know.
Internal studio.
Oh, yeah. But you also have to remember, like, there's a fuckload of 3DSs out there.
Yeah, 70 million or something like that, yeah.
Like, for people that have bought that knowingly bought that for Nintendo IPs, like it's not important. Like there are plenty more 3DSs than there are Switches. So like seeing it be a commercial success is not that impossible. Also, even though it's like
check out the really cool collector's edition that we're not getting here in Australia, but Europe's getting. There's this really awesome collector's edition for Metroid.
Oh, is there?
Samus Returns. Looks great.
What does it come with?
Oh, like there's a book that comes with it that looks like a Game Boy, an old school Game Boy game.
Oh, that's a shame.
It comes with a soundtrack. Yeah, whatever, because it comes on a CD and.
I don't know. The music sounded pretty good in that.
No, the music's great, but they bloody put it out on a disc. Give us music some other way.
Give me a Metroid-shaped USB key with the soundtrack on it.
Give me a link, a code, or something like a unique link.
Just a Bandcamp link or something.
Whatever. Sure, then we'll just share it and everyone will get it. But whatever. Who cares? Sharing's caring.
That won't happen anyway.
It'll get out anyway. I'll find a way to get my hands
YouTube.
on it. Yeah. Good point.
That will be on YouTube within minutes.
As
soon as it hits Russian servers, it's there forever. Same thing with another Metro, like AM2R. Once it hits Russian servers, it's there forever.
It's not coming back out. So what is now that we've kind of gone through everything, your kind of final take on that Nintendo Direct this year? You happy with the direction Nintendo's headed?
They didn't have a lot of huge heavy punches, in my opinion. But man, did they punch a lot.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what they need. They didn't need... because at the start of the year, they had big punches of fucking new 3D Mario, new Zelda, like...
Xenoblade, etc., etc. Yeah, no, that doesn't resonate for you, but there's a...
Yeah, sure. But big, weighty, franchises, right? Yeah.
Mario.
But not a lot... Well, no, this before all that. There wasn't much. And we looked at the Switch and we're like, oh, God, it's the Wii U again. Like, that they won't have a lot of shit to play. And that was, like, for the last couple of months, that's kind of been there. Like, the Switch has been like, well, fucking...
Hope you're still playing Zelda.
Yeah, exactly.
Or Mario Kart.
But for the rest of this year, it's... And even, like, in the last month... Well, no. I mean, even when Mario Kart popped out, that commercially has done very well.
Mario Kart's rolled out since and just sold faster than any Mario Kart in history. And then ARMS has kind of continued things in the last couple of weeks. So,
and then you're going to have Splatoon come out. Pokken come out. You're gonna have, fucking, the rest of it. They've just got a lot of shit coming.
Mario.
Mario.
Blah 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 blah.
All of it
The
out.
list continues.
And that's the thing, and the fact that the list continues, I think that's probably where it's strongest. And we spoke about this, or at least I remember speaking about it personally, across a lot of them. Sony, their press conference or showing or whatever you want to call it, they had pretty much everything was exclusively next year. Bethesda, on the other hand, everything was exclusively this year.
Yeah.
Microsoft had, a bit in the middle. Nintendo had a lot in the middle.
Yeah.
They were definitely, they had, like, it was almost
Here's what's coming next
it was a
year,
50-50 split
year,
of,
then,
we've got a bunch of shit coming for the rest of this year. We've basically got one thing a month, and then next year we've got some new stuff coming.
Yeah, so this year, when you think about what we've gone through there, you've got Mario, you've got Xenoblade, we'll count Rocket League in there.
Arms, again, based on
Arms was out that week, but yeah, it's out now. And then things they didn't even show, including Splatoon and that sort of stuff. You then look forward to next year, and they announced Yoshi, they announced Kirby. I doubt Metroid will be out next year, but they've announced Metroid.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be more that we'll see along the way. I mean, they've announced a Pokemon game.
Because that only
Who knows? It depends on what they want to do.
They only have to get to June.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's right. They've also got the Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon stuff that's coming.
For the 3DS, yeah.
Is that for 3DS? Is that not for Switch?
No, it's 3DS.
Okay. Well then.
Pokken Tournament's obviously also
Pokken Tournament. That's right.
They've got a bit going.
They've got a lot of shit coming, and that's the thing. They only need to get to June next year to be like, hey, guess what? Check this shit out.
We're doing it again.
Yeah.
Here you go. Here's Smash. Here's the new cart.
I don't think they'll put out the new card that soon.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. It's probably a year after. Fine, here's Pikmin, here's Animal Crossing. Like that's one of the cool things. There's a bunch of IP that they've still not touched yet.
Oh, there's always a bit of IP.
Well, there's obviously some. But,
I mean, there's F-Zero in there too somewhere.
Yeah, like the ones that we would expect to see. Like we've gotten
Harvest Moon.
That's not Nintendo, but anyway,
it's not.
It's one of the best franchises of all time. But Animal Crossing, I would have expected to have seen this E3.
And there was potentially Monster Hunter Double Cross.
Yeah.
As well, that will likely come over.
Or Switch? I don't recall.
I think it might be Switch. Yeah. I don't know.
Either way, Dragon Quest XI is going to come to that at some point as well.
Whatever Suda 51 is working on.
Yeah, so they've got a bit more that they can still announce next year. But
and that's the thing. Like if they do something big around March, like they had at or even January, like if they have another small thing that wasn't obviously small, but if they do something in the midpoint. Kind of like what PlayStation does with PSX. If they do something like
Direct.
that, but like a bigger showing than a Direct. Directs are usually very focused.
Yeah.
If they were just like, hey, we got some cool shit for the next 6 months, and then if Nintendo starts doing 6 monthly updates for what they've got coming over the next 12, forget about it. Like they will be set as a company. They will be set because you always know they'll have shit coming.
Yeah.
And if they've always got shit coming, it makes it very easily.
It's actually why I'm quite bullish about the Switch. I think especially to the tail end of this year, we're still seeing some 3DS games. So we're seeing Metroid, we're seeing the Pokemon games, and then I think there might be a couple into early next year, and then I think for the most part they're sending that off into the sunset. And basically, the Nintendo first party there'll be some 3DS third party.
It's definitely not going the way of the Vita. Yeah. Like they will mention it at directs and press conferences.
Yeah. But I think the majority, certainly the 90% of their first party resources will go towards Switch, which is not something they've done before because it's been this 50-50 Switch. They've been 50-50 balance.
Well,
they've been trying to maintain the whatever console at the time and a handheld. And
they have just put out a new handheld though. Like they have just put out the 2DS XL. So whether that's their swan song. I doubt that it will be because it's fucking it's not even what that thing was built for in the first place. But if it is, fine. If it's not, fine. Because again, like you said, was it 70 million?
Yeah, something.
There's a lot. That's a fucking lot of consoles, or units.
And a lot of people don't have money to splash out $400 on a Switch, then games as well. So
yeah, exactly.
That's going to take a while to really kind of get going.
I think they need to bury the motion controls. They need to put them to bed. They won't, but they need to. That's all I would say. Because if you want to be getting like a modern gamer doesn't want motion controls unless there's VR attached, and that thing ain't going to pump out VR. There's not a hope in hell. Like unless you have
then Nintendo surprises us with Nintendo VR.
Look, if
you stick the Switch to your head.
No, if they put out a box, like if they put out like an additional box and headset, that would then potentially connect to the Switch via HDMI or something like that, then yeah, they could definitely do something like that. I mean, it doesn't look like...
No, I do follow what you mean.
It's not something that they would do. And if you're going to do that, like, who really wants motion control in this day and age? Like, people have been down that road, and it's just not a way to play games. Like,
yeah, I think it is only your VR sort of stuff, really. That's the only space for it at the moment.
Yeah, and I think that probably will be the only space for it moving forward, because all you need to play a video game is to have the immersion that by doing a certain action will get a certain result in the video game. That doesn't need to be a physical motion. It can be as simple as pushing a button to swing your sword or whatever the case may be. And if you become so engrossed that you're doing it second nature, that's all the immersion you need for a video game. Yeah. I don't think motion controls...
You don't need to do this to feel the...
I would argue that a lot of motion controls...
swinging a sword.
...are not that. They're not immersive or intuitive or functional.
Well, yeah, I think the main bit is the functional thing. I think if they were more polished, then people would feel it more, but...
Even still, you're going to have people that are going to be like, I don't really want to do that. I don't want to get...
I'm totally with you. There's a massive audience that doesn't want to be swinging their arms.
And I feel like if they put that to bed... They've got the games that can do it. I appreciate that they're trying to do new things, ARMS, Splatoon, stuff like that, and their character design is off the charts. Like it's great. The design, like Nintendo is fucking. They've got their magic. Like their mojo is like flowing. Yeah. For a gross term, but. Like they're killing it. Like think of like the
what they did with Splatoon, what they've done with ARMS, what we've seen in Zelda,
Mario Maker, even Zelda, Odyssey.
The creative.
It's back. Like it's back. Like it's like GameCube era, 64 era back. Like it's full swing.
So maybe this Metroid will be what you want it to be in the end.
Maybe, but they put Prime out in the GameCube, so you never know. But look, that all aside, I just feel like that's what they really need to focus on, their creativity and their intuitive design. I mean, would Breath of the Wild be the just monster that it is if it was motion controlled?
No.
Pure and simple.
What you get is Skyward Sword as a result.
Well, no, because I mean, Skyward Sword was still like as linear as a Zelda game gets.
Yeah. That's what I mean. So they've put all their effort into like getting that tech side of it right. That the creative aspect. You
give people though the world of Breath of the Wild, but the motion controls of Skyward Sword, you don't get a game that scores and is as popular as Breath of the Wild.
Yes,
it's that simple because it just doesn't feel good. So. I don't know. That's I think the one problem that Nintendo has is that they've pioneered this stuff and they've refined it. But I think like you can polish a turd. Yeah. It just becomes a very, very shiny turd. So that's probably what I would say to that. Like I think if they can get away from that stuff and they can keep if they can get 6 monthly chunky updates. Like Nintendo have shown for the last half a decade that they don't need E3. They will do something at that time of the year. They don't need to. They don't need to have a in-person press conference. People will tune into their events, their spotlights, their directs, their fucking e-show or what was it? The first time they called it the fucking.
Yeah, I don't recall, but yeah,
they don't need
stupid titles and all.
Yeah, they don't need it. They'll have a booth. They'll have some new stuff. That's it.
And they'll put on an impressive booth based on the last 2 years.
Yes.
Zelda and then...
Well, that's the thing. They had one fucking game last year, and it was still the best.
And it was the thing that was the best, voted best at E3.
So that's the thing. I think that's where Nintendo needs to be, but they won't because they never follow logic.
Well, they don't follow logic, but at the same time, you're talking about they seem to have gotten that creative mojo back. So let's just see where that leads them. It's a good start, I think.
You could argue that
in the right direction.
They've always had their creative mojo. It's just they focused it on R&D instead of game design.
And perhaps they've gone back the other way now.
Hopefully, but
time will tell.
I remain a realist.
No, it's absolutely one of those things. Time will tell, and we'll see what happens. We can only comment on their most recent track record at the moment.
For sure.
Prior to probably say Zelda. track record hadn't been great, and now we're seeing Zelda, and we've seen ARMS, and we've seen what they're doing with Splatoon 2 and Mario, and
even
what's still to
what
come.
Ubisoft is doing is
and
crazy.
even the partnerships they're making, the people they're putting their trust in. I mean, admittedly, that's been cooking for 3 years.
But I mean, they also did some stuff with the Skylanders and shit like that. So like they're making smart partnerships. FIFA, Rocket League.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
getting there.
It's
heading in the right direction, but I think they need more time to kind of prove themselves one way or the other, whatever that ends up being.
Yeah.
So I guess that is our topic about Nintendo from E3 done. About 2 weeks later than what we initially intended.
Yeah,
but that's life. Also, things that are ending is the life of this couch. You've seen it over, a year and a half of episodes and whatnot now, and it's being sent off in the distance literally 2 hours or 3 hours after we finish this recording here. You'll have a brand new couch and a brand new position. Things will look slightly different just because of the framing of the room, because I do what I'm told and put the couch where I'm told to put it. But it's going to kind of change up some of the positions and what we do in that space. Hopefully opens things up a little bit more and lets us do a little bit more with it. So it'll be kind of cool. So
join in for Paul's Feng Shui cast next week.
Yeah. I don't know.
While he gets told what to do.
Yeah. Put it here! Alright. But otherwise, look, that's the end of Patch for another week, for another month. My name's Paul James. You can catch me at Paul James P2. Jay is not on Twitter.
I lurk on the internet in the deepest, darkest reaches of the internet. I don't really.
Visit the site, player2.net.au or player2au on Twitter. And otherwise, thank you very much for watching. Please like, share and subscribe, and we'll see you later.
Bye.